So 2025 has started indeed with a bigger bang than even I could have imagined. That Thailand trip that just went by, there was so much more footage that I wanted to get on there, which I will show and try to edit out little bits of it, but you'll understand the reasons for it in a second. So I always promised you in this that I would show you the highs and the lows of what's happening in my life throughout the next few years, right? I can't do that with just showing you just the best stuff that happens, because that's every other YouTuber and vlogger where their life seems so great. This weekend, what I've been through has been tough. It's been tough to take. And I need to say this and do this because you're going to realize her missing from the footage from here on out. So me and Liliana have decided to part ways. I can't say too much about this on here as to the reasons why, but if you're in my friends and family group, you know exactly why. But we have decided to part ways. So she will not be included in any of my future videos. And now it's time to move on. I'm going to have even more time on my hands now.
Let's go get some food!
So Malaysia's national dish is a dish called nasi lemak. It's coconut rice with sambal, varying degrees of spice, peanuts, fried anchovies, very crispy, normally an egg as well. So we're going to go try that this morning. It's my favorite national dish out of any country on the planet. It's absolutely brilliant. All the flavors together in that dish are stunning. So we're going to go try that out at Pavilion Bukit Bintang today. So anyone looking for the nasi lemak review, it's over on my TikTok, which I'll link just here. Beard's gone! Now just called Dino No Beard. That will be forever your name. When will it come back, I hear you asking? Never! Never! Maybe never. Tomorrow! Depends how fast it grows, doesn't it, really? You beardless twat!
Spare a thought for people that always known you with a beard. Now they're going to be like, who's that walking down the street? Who's that man? Who's that man?
Really need to start buying a whisk. Cheers. Actually not that bad. So, after a week of no activity, I am back. What we're going to be going over today is the top 10 things I normally get asked, or other expats get asked, about what's it like to live in Malaysia. So I've broken it down into 10 different things about what it's like actually living for a long period of time in Malaysia. I've lived here now on and off since about 2014. And before that I was in Singapore for a bit. I've been to Dubai on 3 separate occasions for 6 months each. I've lived in Prague for just over a year and a half. But Malaysia's my favorite. Malaysia is what I consider my, I guess, home away from home. It's the place where most of my friends live, where my work is, where I can add value the most, and where I just love being and love staying, especially in the area that I am in. So, let's go through them. What are the best things about living in Malaysia? Number 10 is gotta be the low cost of living here. Everything from apartments, food, transport, it's a lot less than you'd expect from what is, I guess, a first world city here. When you look at the skyline, it looks like New York. So accommodation here, I've got a 3-bedroom, 2,600 square foot apartment, luxury fittings, lovely sofas and multiple desks, and a walk-in wardrobe and king-size beds in all the rooms, and great views from both sides in the center of the city. And it's 7,000 ringgit a month, which is, well, I'll put that amount in dollars and pounds here, but it's insane. In where I'm from in London, that would be at least 5 times that. So accommodation's insane. You can also rent, if you're here by yourself, a 1-bedroom place in in the same condo as me for 3,000, 2,800 ringgit a month, just as nice, just a little bit smaller. So accommodation, when most of your wages are not going on accommodation, you know, it's amazing because most people that I know, a third of their wage goes on accommodation, if not more, if they have a mortgage. Things like food, you can go out and eat for $1 if you want a really, really good meal, street food on the meal. You won't get sick from the street food here. It's actually the best food you can get is on the street. You see everyone eating there, from rich to poor people, expats to locals. And you can also go and experience your high-level, very expensive places like the steakhouses and a few different rooftop bars and restaurants where it is quite expensive. You can easily pay, you know, £200, £300 a head, especially if you're drinking the wine. Transportation, one of my favorites. I always travel here in what they have, the Velfires or the Toyota Alphards, because the taxis here are so cheap compared to, again, where I'm from in London. If I took a black cab for 50 minutes, I might be spending £200. Here, for £20, you can ride in a Velfire 6-seater. Normally it's just one or two of us, but you can recline, you've got aircon, you've got a nice chat with the driver. It takes an hour to get there and you spend 20 quid. It's really, really cheap. Now that's the expensive car. If you want the normal taxi, you could travel for an hour and you could spend £10. It's really, really cheap to get around. And that's not even going through the monorail system here. The train system here is far better than what we have in the UK. There's more room, there's more space, they're newer, they're cleaner, and it's dirt cheap. Next, food. Has to be food. The food here is unbelievable. From the street food, as I explained before, to the most expensive food you can get. All your expensive chains are here, like Gordon Ramsay, Mandarin Oriental. Normally all your hotels have the expensive restaurants in, but you've got food experiences like dining in the dark, like Fuego's Mexican place. You've got Horizon Grill in top of the banyan tree for your steakhouses. You've got Marble 8 or Visit 38. You've got Nobu's. You've got all your classic, I guess, themed or expensive restaurants. But then the best food, why most people come to Asia, is for the street food. So I am lucky to have nearby me a Walkaway Jalan Alor, which is the night food market, and every night they're open till early in the morning, 3-4 in the morning, and you can get some of the most amazing street food for next to nothing prices. So if you're in Malaysia, strongly recommend you go there. But pretty much everywhere has what they would class here as mamaks. They have places on the corner where you can get really, really cheap food. This place, I heard on a review site last year that they also have, Malaysia has the #1 best street food in the world, which is roti prata. Number 8 for me, and this might not be for everybody, but the ability for me to stay here long term purely revolves around the ability to make money. So that's my number 8, which is the opportunity to make money. For me, working in real estate here, I'm very fortunate that a lot of people send their children to study in the UK or Australia, and that's where we sell property. So there is a great affinity between the UK and the local Malaysian people, which makes my job a hell of a lot easier in terms of making money and being able to sustain a successful business. Also, being from the UK, it makes you pretty unique, makes you pretty niche. Me being here as one of the only Westerners starting a real estate business makes me one of very few select people, which makes me niche, which makes me easier to market, which brings down my marketing costs, which makes it easy for me to speak to people and ignite my business. So opportunity to make money is definitely, for me, number 8 on the list. Next, number 7, friendly locals. Have you been to a place before where you just feel like you're not wanted? For me, that place was Prague. One of the only places in the world where the Brits have a terrible name. Well, not the only place in the world we have a terrible name. I'm sure we've got a terrible name elsewhere, but Prague for me was a place where the men just hated us. I mean, can you blame them? We go to stag parties on their streets. I've seen groups of English guys dressed up as babies walking down the street and as Pokemon that refuse to be catched. So I can understand why we're not liked there. But here, it's completely opposite. Here, of course, ex-colony of the UK, Malaysia, it's not been a colony now for a hell of a long time. But there's still a great affinity between the Malaysian people and people from the UK especially. But I would say even if you're any kind of European or American or Canadian or wherever you're from the West, there's going to be a certain degree of love for you here, because a lot of businesses here revolve around tourism. So for the locals, that are your taxi drivers, your people that work in the food courts, your people that work in the restaurants, the bars, the people that you're likely to be hanging about with, they're happy you're there because their business and their job revolves around you being there. And they're so polite, they're so friendly, they speak English, and they're just happy to see you. There's so many times you get into a taxi and they ask where you're from, what you're doing there, and with genuine interest. And the Malaysian people are just, on average, just very, very happy. Compared to what it's like in the UK, it's a very, very distinct change that you'll notice. Being around this sort of positivity makes everything you do better. Number 6 is location. So Malaysia, where it's located on the map, it's very close to a lot of other great places that you can just get away at the weekend. Thailand is an hour and a half away. Singapore is 40 minutes away. Vietnam is an hour and a half away. Hong Kong is 4 hours away. Philippines is less than 4 hours away. You've got so many great places to go in a very short space of time. Then you've got AirAsia. AirAsia is my favorite airline on the planet. The food, the drink, how cheap the tickets cost, it's absolutely insane. They make Ryanair and EasyJet look like not even an airline. They make them look like one of them horrible long distance coach journeys you've got to have, replacement bus rail service. Number 5 is weather. Now, I prefer hot over cold. It is hot here. In the daytime, you'd expect it to reach 32, 33. Nighttime, maybe 26, 27. Nighttime's perfect temperature. You still need maybe a fan or a little bit of an aircon if you're sitting outside, but you do get used to it over time. However, I much prefer constant hot and constant cold. Now, it doesn't change here. It just gets a bit more rainy over the year. So the weather's the same all year round. It just rains a little bit more for half the year. So get used to the weather. It can be hot, but I much prefer that over cold. Number 4 is nightlife. If you're young or you like going out, you like to dance, you like to drink. For me, I chose to live in an area called Bukit Bintang, which is right on a place called Cangkat. If you've been there, you'll know what it's like, but it's pretty much a whole street of bars and clubs and restaurants, and that's where I choose to live because it has a great expat community there, and it's nice to have a local area where you can go in, where people know you, where it seems like family. So that's where I've chosen to live since 2017 in KL, and the nightlife here is simply superb. You've got rooftop restaurants, you've got some of the biggest clubs in the world here, if you like that. I don't particularly like that because I like a seat when I go somewhere, and I don't like very loud music, but if that's something you like, it's here in abundance. You like your old man bars, which is pretty much where I go, where I just sit down and we play pool when we have that. You have 3 quiz nights just on my street a week. You have 2 pool tournaments just on my street a week. So if you want that community feeling, you've got it. If you want the nightclub feeling, you've got it. If you want the rooftop bar, the fine dining, the wine experience, you've got it. Every experience here is catered for, depending on what sort of nightlife you want. Number 3 is the expat scene. In Malaysia, specifically where I live, I would recommend it if you want to hang about other expats. I first moved to Malaysia in 2014, and I moved to Bangsar, south. And that area wasn't that great for meeting loads of other expats. I found myself staying in most nights, watching TV and Netflix and getting depressed. So the moment I moved to Cangkat, there's a whole road of condos right next to it, which you'll see on the map if you ever want to move here. But Cangkat and everywhere around there has a lot of locals that go to the same bars every day, or not every day, but some people do every day. But you know, once a week, twice a week, you'll see the same people in there all the time, and you'll start to play pool together. You'll start to watch football together. You'll start to do pub quizzes together, and it's just a really, really nice community. We get invited to house parties all the time together, and it's just a really, really nice feel. Number 2 is just quality of life. All these things together added up mean that you can live a really, really good quality of life here. For me, I always miss being at home in the UK, and I miss it dearly. I miss the people, miss my family. Compared to places like the UK and the Western world now, quality of life is deteriorating. Things are becoming more expensive. Healthcare is being eroded, and over here it's completely different. Even just take healthcare, for instance, right, which I've not even mentioned on this list yet, but anything you want, it's so cheap. You want minor surgery for something that you want to get fixed. In the UK, you might be on the waiting list for 2 years for that. Here, okay, you might have to pay a few $100s, but it's done. And it's done with your own ward, with your own bed for multiple days or however long you need it. Things here are ridiculously cheap, and you're looked after very, very well. And the quality of healthcare and education, if you want to bring your kids over here to study, they're going to learn 3 languages for a start. And the quality of teaching is next level compared to the UK. Kids here actually want to learn. When I was at school, 10 out of the 30 people in the classroom were just throwing paper all day here. And you were ridiculed for being smart. If I didn't end up playing football as a kid, I'd have been bullied to hell. Well, I was still bullied to hell, to be fair, but bullied less. Number 1 everyone speaks English. Helps, doesn't it? It really does. So that's my list of 10. What are yours?